Mike Pendleton here with Sherdog.com, and as we continue our interviews for the Bellator Championship Series show in San Diego on September 7th, honored to talk to a man who's really been such a legend in the sport, done so much in the sport, and I'm very interested in this interview, not only because it's the first time we're talking, but because I feel like it's going to be so much different. But before I go any further, the one and only, the Monsoon, Lorenz Larkin, thank you for joining me, man. It's just another fight in the legendary career you've had.
Man, just trying to just keep doing it, man, and not look like one of these old guys out here. That's it.
I'm going to jump right in. So I was on the media call with you and your opponent about a week or two ago, and you said something that I've really just, anytime I'm preparing for this event, like I go back to, because you don't hear fighters be this candid about things. You said, when I'm not fighting, I stay as far away from fighting as possible. I don't watch fights. Yeah. That's just so interesting because not only just because you're a veteran, but I think there's so many people in combat sports who feel they need to be attached to it because they're like, fighting is my life and it's how I make my living. How are you able to separate? Because in us normal people on a day-to-day, they say, don't bring your work home and so on and so forth. So how do you separate that?
You know what? Like, it's just, I always just say I got into fighting because when I was doing it the wrong way, right? I liked the way that I felt in the fight. You know what I mean? I don't know if it's endorphins or that well, I mean, everybody's experienced it, right? I'm pretty sure. Have you ever been in a fight?
Not one that I wanted to be in, but yeah.
Yeah, okay. But what I'm saying is that feeling you felt when you knew for sure you're going to fight never happens ever. You never experience that feeling ever, other than when you're about to fight, really about to fight somebody. You know what I mean? Or getting close to it. It's a certain feeling. I can't just say it like what it is specifically, but there's always like a feeling of, I don't know. I can't describe it, but from fighters to everyday people, if you've gotten to a fight, you've experienced what that feeling is, because it's no other feeling you get, right? So for me doing it, when, I was young and stuff like that, I enjoyed that feeling. I almost thrived off of it when I got a taste of it. So that's why I got into fighting, you know what I mean? I was just like, oh, it's cool, first off, and I get that feeling that I get. And it's like, to me, combat sports is like the ultimate kind of gladiator thing. You know what I mean? It's just like two people are going to fight and only one person can win. That's it. There's no, you know what I mean? Other than draws and shit like that. But, for the traditional aspect of it, it's just like, you know what I mean? So that's why I got into it. It's not because of I don't know, man. I just feel like a lot of people get into this sport because they think it's cool and it's flashy and all this other shit about it. But I don't look at it that way. You know what I mean? I look at it like it's the most without me sounding psycho, it's like, this is my release, right? So it's like, this is the only time I literally get to go full bore and fight. I can't do it in training, no matter how hard the training is. I never get that feeling in training, no matter if it's somebody from another gym that comes down. I'm not going to get that feeling until I'm literally locked in a cage and I'm like, oh, I'm really about to fight. And I literally get to try to inflict as much pain as I can on this person. You know what I mean? So that's why I got into it. You know what I mean? I just feel like now it's just a lot of guys just getting because of, what comes with it, the glitz, the fame, the social media, and the girls and all the other shit. It's cool, but not to make it all lengthy for you, but that's, so when I get away from it, because I'm just like, I have to get away from it. This is my outlet, and then I go down to my normal everyday life,
So would it be fair to say it's just like MMA has, I hate to give this man all the credit in the world, right? But it's that Conor McGregor effect where people have seen what the richest could do to one person, and
Yeah,
and everyone, you believe, not everyone, but majority of younger people are getting into it because they look at him and go, that could be my life.
yeah,
Where it's not like the NFL where there's 53 players on a roster and
yeah,
maybe a good 25% are multi-millionaires living good, and you're like,
yeah,
man, I just need one fight, right? Like fighters can't be like, if I get one fight, I could own
yeah,
bars and Lamborghinis and
yeah, yeah.
and that's why I wanted to ask you that, because when I told you off camera I've wanted to interview you for years. When I look at someone, where if I was going to pull someone and say remove the flash, remove the glamour, and if you just want to know what fighting is about, I put the tape on of you, because you're just someone who
Oh, man.
really
Thank
just
you.
punches in, no pun intended, and punches out, right? Like you're
Yeah,
there to
yeah,
do a job. And honestly, I don't think you sound psycho. I think it makes sense. When you're there, when you show up to do a job, no one's going to survive in any career path if they show up 50%. And you
yeah,
go full bore. It's been on
yeah.
display. How have you, I don't want to say defied the narratives, but as your career has progressed, as you've gotten older, you just keep winning and winning and winning.
Mhm.
What's like the secret to that?
For me, well, I've always been natural. First off, that's first and foremost. And I've always just smart. I've always just trained smart, man. It's like there's never a ego behind my training. And if I don't, my body doesn't feel up for it. There's no like, you know, if your body's not there, then there's no point of training. Because it's just going to lead to injuries, big injuries that take a long time to get back to. And I think a lot of fighters are hard headed when it comes to that type of stuff because they think like, oh no, I'm gonna mentally push through it, but it's just like if your ankle's hurt or you know what I mean, or if your shoulder's really bothering you, what are you gonna do? You're gonna go in there and push through it and then ultimately tear something, and then now you're out for 8 months, and then you get depressed because now you're out, and then you got to come back, and then maybe you lose after you come back, and then now you're down here. This shit goes, you know what I mean? It's a lot to it, So just training smart, man, and taking care of myself. I think being natural it has played a big effect,
Undoubtedly,
Yeah.
undoubtedly. And it's funny you say that too, because, as a guy who covers not just fighting, but the other big sports here in the States, you see it all the time, where I go to the classic example being from Chicago. Everyone's like, I can't believe Derrick Rose, he was robbed of his career because he tore his ACL. But then you start talking to like physical therapists around basketball. They're like, did anyone notice like he had a sprained ankle like right before the playoffs? He came
Yeah,
back from that and didn't rehab correctly. And now everything else is
yeah,
susceptible to injury on that side. So it's funny to hear you say that, because you would think in any sport, combat sports is the one where you don't really push through an
yeah,
injury.
yeah, yeah.
Understandably so. Some people may feel forced to do so, but throughout your career as well, you've been obviously a staple of so many different organizations. I'll start with this one. You had your first taste of the PFL, and I know the no elbows absolutely sucks for a fighter like yourself. But as
Yeah.
they're trying to grow, and I believe they are growing in a very rapid way in the MMA space, what was the PFL experience like for you?
I mean, other than the no elbows, it was good. The production was there. I mean, I didn't have no issues. You know what I mean? So it was pretty good. I've been through these kind of takeovers once before in my
A
life, so
couple
it's like,
times.
yeah, yeah. So I'm starting to get used to it. No, but I think they have a great platform. They have a lot of good fighters. And yeah, I mean, and they're doing big events. You know what I mean? Which I like. That's why I love Bellator so much, because they're willing to do things that other promotion weren't doing, like collaborating with Risen and things like that, and the whole and PFL did a thing that a lot of other companies would not do. When they did the championship or the
Champs versus champs.
well, yes, champs versus champs, dude. Like, you know what I mean? It's
That was fun. That was fun.
for them. I will say for them, to play devil's advocate, they do own both. So it's not like they're really shooting themselves in the foot, but it's still good that they did it. You know what I mean? It just come out and just be like, no, let's champ versus champ. Let's go. So that it just shows, what potential is out there with the company. So,
Yeah,
I had a good time with them. Yeah.
I think it was a good showcase of the talent that they acquired through Bellator and also the
Yeah.
talent that they've had on their roster as well. Speaking
Mhm.
of that, I got to get your opinion. The regular season format, right? We have 6 weight classes right now, 4 fights in 8 months. And, I know it's cliche, but their label is the toughest test in MMA, which I agree, in 1 calendar year. But it also provides that $1 million, that world championship. Do you like that regular season format they've instilled in the PFL?
Um, I do, but I mean, I don't know what it's like outside of that format as far as how many fighters are getting outside of it. And it's not like it's been told to me. I haven't like gone out and really tried to research and be like, oh, well, these guys, so I don't know. I'm just talking, from not knowing. But I think that's my main concern is in the format, yes, if you're doing good, yeah, it's great. You're getting 4 fights a year, which is awesome. But if you're not, I don't know how many fights you're getting. You know, that's my only
Yeah, no,
concern.
and that completely makes sense. Well, the fight you've got Levan Chokheli here, San Diego, Bellator Championship Series, San Diego. What do you make of him as an opponent, and what should fans expect in this fight?
Oh man, he's a tough opponent. I think he's like either like 14-2 or 13-2, but he's tough. He cracks hard and he comes to fight. And I I believe he's like either in his 20s or early 30s. I don't know. So one of them two.
Late
You know,
20s, late
late
20s,
20s. Okay, so
27.
yeah, he's in his 20s. So he's a young dude. He's gonna come to bring it. But like I always say, these are the fights I want. Don't be trying to match me up with the old timers and
You
give me
like those challenges of the younger fighters, the hungry lions trying to
like
get up there and
I don't want to sound redundant, dude, but he's like this is I always say, it's like what am I doing it for? If I need to be, in a whole separate category, fighting these guys, like nah, like I ain't I don't know, man. I'm always just about I want the young one coming up. He's gonna get there anyway, especially if he's good. You know what I mean? So I might as well get him now.
I think if you remove ages and everything and you just skill for skill throughout your career, when you've had these opponents thrown your way, the younger, hungrier guys, you're like the perfect test, right? And
Yeah,
unfortunately, a lot of those guys haven't passed the test, but it's a great kind of
yeah,
outlier to where they are, and it shows where you continue to be throughout your career.
yeah.
And I just have 2 more for you. I don't want to take up too much of your time, but I've got to ask, you've talked about, you've been part of promotion takeovers and you've changed
Mhm.
a few times in your career, whether it be as a fighter or just as a man. What has been the biggest thing you've learned throughout the longevity of your career and continuous change?
Um, I would say my biggest point that I've always stuck to is I respect everybody I talk to. And as long as I feel that I'm respected, then everything's good. You know what I mean? But I've never if I felt like I'm not, if I'm not respected or if there's not a want for me, I never tried to talk you into a want for me. You know what I mean? If you don't want me, then cool. Like let me go. You know what I mean? Like I always want to feel appreciated where I'm at and vice versa because when it comes down to promotions, when there's stuff asked for me, I'm the easiest fighter there is. If they're like, here's the name, I'm like, cool, send me it. Don't even send me the name, just send me the contract with the date. That's all I ask. My biggest thing is give me the date and I'm good. I'll sign it and I don't even care about the name. So I think I'm easy when it comes to matchmaking. I just always want to be respected, because I put the same respect out there. So I think, as long as fighters know their worth, you know what I mean, and appreciate what they bring to the table and perform. And I don't know. That's all you could really ask for.
It's perfectly well said. Last one. What should fans expect if you step inside the Bellator cage once again on September 7th?
Man, like every other time, man. Come there. I'm gonna come in there ready. I'm gonna put on a great fight. I think we're the co-main now, so it's gonna be a great fight. I hope it's a great fight. I hope he's had the greatest camp of his life, and he comes out there 110% because I just finished camp about 20 minutes ago, so I'm
Well,
feeling great.
honored to be the first person you talk to right out
Yeah.
of camp. Lorenz Larkin, man, I meant what I said in the intro. You're truly a legend and a consummate pro in the sport. I think you're very much a good kind of image for mixed martial arts and a good representative of Bellator in every place you've been. Back in Bellator, back with elbows, and back in front of everyone's eyes on Max streaming service on September 7th. I cannot wait for it. Thank you for making the time. And it's been a long time coming. Hopefully, we'll talk more in the future.
Oh yeah, for sure, man. And I'm not sure if you heard or not, but I don't really do interviews. But your talking points are good, man.
I
It's not the
appreciate it. Yeah.
everyday. Yeah, it is. It's not the everyday.
That's the difference. That's why I always hope for the return, because I'm not gonna sit there asking about camp, ask you how's your opponent, how's your weight cut.
Man, man.
I just want people to understand like all the things, and I'm also not someone I highly respect in Luke Thomas, so I can't break down the technical side of fighting, and I'm not gonna try to. I'm not gonna ask Tom Brady why he missed a 17-yard out route, right? Like I'm gonna look like an idiot. So I'm not gonna ask you about certain techniques, but what I want at the end of the interview, when people watch it, they want to tune in, or they'll see your fight and go, I heard of him doing an interview and it really got me interested. I want people to know not just the fighter, but the person. So I appreciate that very much.
Keep it up, man.
I will. Thank you so much, man. All the best.
All right, dude. Take care.
Thank you.